Welcome back to the Blackhawks Conversation postgame show. My name is Ryan McGregor, and we have a lot to talk about with this game against the Ottawa Senators. But first, if you weren't aware, this show is now available on Apple Podcasts, so be sure to go check that out, download that, listen over there, leave it a rating, all that good stuff. So the Blackhawks lose, unfortunately, 6-4 to the Ottawa Senators. We have a lot to get into with this one. It was quite a jam-packed game, really. I mean, and a lot of it not um, in a good way. Uh, Something noteworthy before the game here was that the Hawks were running Nick Lardis on the fourth line, which right away, red flags, alarm bells went off, uh, and it showed in this one, and there's a whole rant coming with Nick Lardis and how they're using him. But yeah, this game right away. I mean, I'm not gonna dive into every goal. There was 10 goals in this game. Um, but I'll kind of do a quick overview. First period was terrible. What else is new? The Hawks don't normally play really good first periods, especially with Bedard gone. But really early on, you get Nazar taking a slap shot to the face. He goes to the room. He never returned, and I thought that was interesting because he looked fine. He was leaking pretty good. He got cut open, and he went straight to the room, presumably to get stitches, is what I figured. But he looked fine. He didn't look like he was in pain. Um, he was talking on his way to the bench. He yelled "fuck" on his way to the bench. So if he had a broken jaw, he wouldn't be talking. So I'm curious to know what's up with Frank Nazar. I fully thought he was going to return to the game, and they announced later on that he wasn't going to. So to me, that was bizarre, and I really want to know what's going on with Nazar. And now we're down, you know, our top two centers and our two most exciting young forwards. Um, and things only went downhill from there. This game was weird with injuries. I mean, Grizzlick left at one point and came back. Teravainen left at one point and came back. At the end of the second period, Soderblom looked a little shaken up, although he never left. He never missed any time. But yeah, um, weird game, man. It was a weird game. It was an afternoon game to wrap up the Canadian road trip, and it was an odd one. Hawks, like normal, were outshot 12-8 in the first period. We get to the second. Mikheyev ends up tying the game from Kaiser and Green. Um, Great pass from Wyatt Kaiser from his own end, an absolute laser beam to Ilya Mikheyev, who streaks in and puts it 5-hole. And then I kind of got excited because the Hawks responded to that Mikheyev goal with another good shift. They were moving their feet, they were dumping the puck in, they were chasing it. Sam Lafferty looked good in the second period. He had one shift in particular where he had a really nice stick check in front of the net to prevent a what would have been a grade A scoring opportunity in the slot. And then later in that shift, he hustles on the back check and he prevents a 3-on-2. He breaks up a 3-on-2. Um, and then the game kind of goes on. Hawks are getting scored on. Stutes like it's a shorthanded goal. There was a really weird callback goal. Hawks went 1 for 2 on the coach's challenge. To me, they were both interference. The second one, Blashill didn't win the call, but Tkachuk was standing in the crease. Puck gets fired on net. Soderblom makes a save. Rebound goes off of Levshinov and in, but Levshinov and Tkachuk were tied up in the blue paint, and Soderblom's trying to push over to the other side to kind of uh, stop the rebound that's coming back in off of Levshinov, and Chuck's skate blocks him from being able to do that. So that one I didn't agree with, and that one I was a little confused by. I actually wrote prematurely no goal because I was that confident, and that's a mistake on my end because I should know by now that these goaltender interference calls in particular are a coin flip. So that one's on me. But I thought for sure that was going to be goalie interference. And it was going to come back, and it didn't. Um, Hawks get a brief 5-on-3. They don't score on it, but right after it, Burakovsky scores from Green and Levshinov. Um, shot from the top of the circle, goes off a D-man stick and goes in. On that goal and on that power play in particular, I will say I really appreciated Artem Levshinov. He was really moving the puck well. He's obviously quarterbacking at the top of the zone there. But instead of just kind of, passing it wing to wing and occasionally throwing a shot in, he was moving the puck. He was skating himself, and he was holding on to it. He looked pretty confident on the power play, and he was looking for anything, whether it was a shot, a deflection, a pass, a chance to cut to the net, whatever was given to him. He was scanning really well, and he was moving the puck really well. So I thought Levshinov looked really good on that particular power play, and it led to a Burakovsky goal, and Levshinov got a well-deserved assist. Um, he didn't have a great game, but that play in particular was good. Nobody had really a great game. I'll get into that later. Um, yeah, you go into the third tied 3-3. Um, oh, sorry, back to the second before we get into the third period. But yeah, I thought the Hawks played a good second period. I thought the best part of their game today was the second period. They went into the second period down by one, and they came out of it tied. Um, and they, like I said earlier, they were playing with more pace. They were physical. They were getting pucks in deep, and they were actually chasing. Um, Oddly enough, though, Nick Lardis only played 5:17 in the first 40. And again, that's something we're going to get into later. There's a lot I want to discuss about Nick Lardis. Um, so yeah, you go into the third tied. You have to kill a penalty to start the period, and David Perron scores on the power play. Another one of those goals that you want Soderblom to save. Um, it was a flyby screen by Zetterlund, but it's still a shot from the top of the circles that you kind of want to save on. Um, Yeah, and the Hawks are just playing abysmal for the start of the third period. They're being embarrassed by Ottawa, and David Perron makes them pay again. He makes it 5-3. Um, and if David Perron's scoring on you twice at the beginning of the third period, you're probably not in a good spot. You're probably not doing things very well, because it's David Perron. There was one point in time where that wouldn't be a horrible thing, but in 2025, you don't want to get scored on twice by Perron in the third period to go down by two. And then Nick Lardis gets his first NHL goal. Hey, there's a positive to come out of this game. Um, Good for the kid. It was a great goal. Vlasic with a shot from the point, and instead of just tipping the puck in, he sort of corrals it on his forehand, does a spin and backhands it in. It was a beautiful goal. Humble celebration. Um, to me, he had every right to celebrate. He just brought his team back within one. He just, put out the fire essentially. They were getting embarrassed and dominated to start that period, and he gets momentum back for his team. So to me, he had every right to celebrate, but he keeps it calm, cool, collected, plays it cool, and the Hawks are back within one, although they can't get anything going from there. Levshinov gets a penalty. There's a missed trip on Stutzla. Stutzla trips Doc. It went uncalled. The Green Burakovsky Bertuzzi line had a grade A chance to tie it with 4.5 to go. They couldn't do it, and 30 seconds later, Zetterlund scores. Dump and chase leads to a turnover. Hawks get all sorts of disoriented, missed coverages in their own end. It happens fast, and Zetterlund puts it upstairs. And that's the game, 6-4. Um, Hawks go 1 for 3 on the power play, which if you go 1 for 3 on the power play, that's 33%. I'm happy with that number. And they go 4 for 5 on the penalty kill. Kill 4 out of 5. I'm happy with that too. So special teams I thought was fine for Chicago. It was 5-on-5 play that was an issue. They also got beat in the faceoff dot 36-25. So you'd like to see them win more faceoffs, but I'm not going to harp on it too much because you're out your 1 and 2 centers. You're out Bedard and Nazar. So I'm not going to harp on the faceoffs too much. Um, the team didn't show up defensively. It's not just on Arvid Soderblom, although you want Soderblom to make some of those saves. Um, letting in 6 is never good. You want him to make some of those saves, but you got to hold the 5 guys on the ice, 5 skaters on the ice accountable too. There was way, way, way too often in this game were the Hawks passive in their own end. Most of the game, they were way too passive in their own end. They were sort of collapsing in, like almost like it was a penalty kill. They were almost playing a box. Um, and Ottawa was able to get in those tight areas. They were able to make plays. They were able to go to the net. They spend way too much time in front of Soderblom, completely uncontested, hacking and whacking at rebounds, getting in tight chances. And credit to Soderblom, he didn't have a good game, but he came up big a couple times. He did make a few good saves, and it was the ones that went in that you wanted him to save that he didn't save. So, team defense today was abysmal. It wasn't good, and they were way too passive in their own end. Um, yeah, and that's going to happen with a young team, and it's going to happen when you're out your top two forwards. Um, and another result of that is your ice time leader is Artem Levshinov with 23-21, and that surprised me. That surprised me. The Hawks only had 3 power plays. He doesn't even quarterback the first unit anymore. It's Grizzlick. I'm wondering why it wasn't Vlasic or Kaiser. Um, yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting to me. It didn't feel like Levchinov was on the ice for 23 minutes, but I guess he was, and so I found that interesting. And second in ice time, the first forward leader in ice time was Ryan Green with 22:46, which surprised me again. But I was happy with it. I like to see Ryan Green get that opportunity. Like I said, you're out your top 2 centers, your top 6 centers are out, and so give Green that chance. I really liked seeing Green get the opportunity to play more minutes tonight. And again, there's not a whole lot of positives to take away from this game, especially with how they played as a unit. But I thought Green individually didn't have a terrible night. Um, he wasn't extremely noticeable at the very least, and there were a lot of guys that were really noticeable for the wrong reasons tonight. Um, Yeah, they pretty much only showed up in the second. They really didn't have much fight in the third. I think going down too early in the third, really took it out of them, despite Nick Lardis getting them back within one with plenty of time to go. What was it? I don't have it written down here, but it was 12 minutes, 13 minutes. It was before the midway point of the third, that's for sure. So yeah, that was disappointing. And on the note of Nick Lardis, I mean, congrats to Nick Lardis on the first NHL goal. We already discussed that. I'm just really curious, and this is one of the first times I'm really questioning Jeff Blashill. I've appreciated him and what he's done all year. Uh, but I'm really confused on why they're using Nick Lardis the way they're using him. Like I said at the beginning, he was on the fourth line, which right away, you think, okay, you're out your top scorer. You need scoring help. You bring in a guy who is a pure goal scorer and you stick him on the fourth line. And he didn't look bad his first 2 games. I thought he looked fine his first 2 games. So why was he on the fourth line? If anything, put Tavo down there. Teravainen has been terrible in the month of December? Teravainen's been awful. I don't want to rip on. I love Tavo Teravainen. I'm a huge Tavo Teravainen fan, but man, he's been awful lately. Why is he still getting ice time and Lardis is getting a total of 8:17 in this game? And just to put that into perspective, Sam Lafferty played 9:22. Just to put those numbers in perspective. Nick Lardis played the least minutes out of all the healthy forwards. Of course, Frank Nazar only played like a minute something. He played under 2 minutes. So I'm really confused on why you have him on the fourth line, and then he's not even on the top power play unit. Power plays are a mess right now. I'll try to remember off the top of my head, but you have like Donato, Doc, um, on your top unit, and guys like Burakovsky, Teravainen, and Lardis are on the second unit. So that I'm confused by as well. Maybe someone has the answer for me in the comments. Maybe I'm an idiot and I'm not seeing it. But I don't understand. I don't understand the way Nick Lardis is being used right now, And I would love to see him get some more time in that top six. I would love to see him get some time with Connor Bedard and Bedard's back. But then, that opens up a whole other conversation of is Nick Lardis still going to be here because, Nick Foligno's still got to come back. Connor Bedard's still got to come back. And I mean, who knows where Frank Nazar, who knows? I don't even know what's going on with Frank Nazar. Um, so yeah, it's interesting with Nick Lardis. I would like to see him be used more. Um, and Teravainen's someone I would like to see be used less. Someone else I would like to see be used less is Soderblom, man. I kind of defended him a bit this game, saying it's not all his fault, but he has been playing good hockey for quite a while now. Even for just like a mental reset to send him down, because we have an embarrassment of riches when it comes to goaltending. You could give Brossoit a chance. And if he plays well, you up his trade value and you get good goaltending. So there's, a potential double win there. Um, Hell, even Comesso or Comesso. I was gonna say or Berezhnoi, but I don't know if Berezhnoi is quite there yet. But give Comesso a shot. Why not? What do you have to lose at this point? Um, not only for his performance, but just for also as a mental reset. I would like to see Soderblom get sent down, and it's gonna be it's dark days right now, and it looks like it's gonna get even darker depending on how long Frank Nazar's out. Um, but this year has been overall a success. You're seeing development from who you want to see development from. And I'm going to be really interested, like I said, to see if Nick Lardis gets to stay when you have Bedard back, Nazar back, Backstreet's back. All right. I don't know why I said that. But when you have those guys back, I would like to see if Nick Lardis is able to stay. Um, I don't really know what else to cover in this one here. It was just a just that I don't want to call it an action-packed game. It was just kind of I mean, it was, but there was just a lot of what's going on happening in this game, if that makes sense. I thought Doc had a good game. I thought Doc had a good game. I thought Lafferty had a good game. Mikheyev had a 2-goal night. I thought Mikheyev had a great game, not even just because of the 2 goals. Um, I thought Kaiser had his moments. Kaiser had his moments. Um, yeah. Other than that, I will say actually, Levshinov, I think Levshinov's playing too many minutes. But I think for the amount of minutes he played tonight, there were some mistakes, but I think there was also some good moments. I touched on one on the power play, but I thought he moved his feet well. Um, we saw a little bit less of those mistakes we're used to seeing. Um, I'm just rambling now. Um, yeah, like I said at the beginning, this podcast is now available on Apple Podcasts. So if you're not listening to it on there already, please go check it out. I'm not going to ask for a 5-star rating. I'm going to ask for an honest rating. If it's shit, give me 1 star. That's fine. But head over there and check it out. Follow me over on Twitter. There's always lots of good Hawks conversation going on over there. Leave a like, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on this game in the comments below. And I'll see you in the next post game show.